Unang tanong ko po, why do you decide to become a teacher po? Sige. Ayun po. Bakit po pinili niyo po yung teacher? Why you decide to become a teacher po?
Isa sa mga factor talaga kung bakit ako naging teacher is because the influence of my sister. My sister is also a teacher. Yung mga tita ko at saka yung mga asawa ng mga tito ko is also a teacher. And I was inspired by one of my teachers when I was in high school, na isang teacher din na talagang nagagalingan ako sa kanya. Kaya sabi ko, gusto kong maging kagaya niya, kaya naging teacher ako.
Ayun po. Yung pangalawang tanong ko po, what is something that makes you stay to your profession for such a long period of time po? Paano po kayo nagtagal sa profession po?
Number one, of course, security of tenure. Yun. Kasi syempre, kapag teacher ka, lalo na kapag sa public school, kapag nag-regular ka na, syempre, security of tenure, kahit na mag-retired ka na, secure na yung future mo. Meron ka nang tatanggapin na hanggang sa pagtanda mo. And at the same time, it's my passion. Talagang gustong-gusto ko yung ganitong profession. That's why ako nasa teaching profession.
Ito po. Next question. How do you practice the codes of ethics as you perform teaching commitment in school premises, home, local community? Paano po yun?
Okay, so speaking of code of ethics, so tayo ay guided lagi sa lahat ng ginagawa natin bilang isang teacher. So unang-una, pagpasok pa lang ng school, sa tamang pagpasok sa tamang oras, kahit sa pananamit, yung gawi, the way we speak with our colleagues, even with parents, sa lahat ng mga bisita, kailangan guided tayo ng code of ethics kasi yan ang isa sa mga katibayan bilang isang teacher kasi magtaas kasi ang moral standard ang tingin, lalo na pagdating sa teacher, double standard kasi palagi. No, kaya kinakailangan sinusunod talaga ang code of ethics, even in posting in social media.
Next question po. How you deal with your co-teachers, immediate superiors, parents, and most importantly, students po?
Well, so in order para na magkaroon ng harmonious relationship, hindi masyadong pressured, of course, we treat each other parang family din. Friends, family, kaya magaan ang pakiramdam, magaan sa trabaho. No, kasi we treat each other as friends. In fact, no, may mga times minsan na nagbibiruan kami, ang gaan lang sa pakiramdam. We treat each other as family.
Next question po. What so far was your most challenging dilemma related to the practice of your professional behavior as a teacher? How did you cope with that?
Well, most especially nung una pa lang, nung simula pa lang akong teacher, no, marami talaga akong mga challenges before, no, lalong-lalo na with regards with dealing with students, yung mga pasaway ng mga bata, nagkaroon talaga ng malaking challenge. Pero as we go along, natutunan mo na paano handle, most especially also with sharing ng experiences din, expertise ng mga teachers, ng mga colleagues. No, so doon tayo natututo. Natututo tayo sa lalo na sa experience talaga. So, yan. Kasi teaching is a learning process. No, as you go along, mas maganda talaga na natutunan mo siya base sa iyong personal experience. So, yan.
So, next question ko po. When you got your LET, how did you apply as a teacher? Which schools did you apply first? And why did you apply to your school? Whether it is public first or private? Ano po?
My first teaching experience is in private school. It's an elementary school. So while I am teaching in the elementary, after I graduated, so doon na din ako nagpo-personal review lang sa licensure examination. And then fortunately, after kong mag-apply for LET and I passed, no, my first take at nakapasa naman. And after I passed the licensure examination, immediately nag-apply ako sa isang public school. That's just sa Parañaque. So sa Munok National High School, that's my first experience, no, as a public school teacher. Buti na lang kahit paano nakapasok din ako kaagad dahil may experience din ako sa private school.
Ayun. Ayun lang po, sir. Maraming salamat po. Yung unang tanong ko po, why you decide to become a teacher po?
Bakit ako nag-decide maging teacher?
Apa.
Actually, ako maging teacher eh.
Paano,
Ang,
bakit
ang
po
course ko
napili niyo
kasi
po
is,
na teacher?
ang course ko kasi ay AB Philosophy. AB Philosophy. Nung graduate ako ng college, AB Philosophy. So, gusto ko, ano yun eh, magpapare. So, magpapare dapat ako. So, dahil hindi ako naging pare, tapos nagkaroon ako ng asawa. So, ang pinakamalapit na pwede kong maging trabaho ay teacher. So, yun. Doon ako nagsimula. So, dahil yun nga yung pinaka pwede kong maging profession aside from, kasi maraming pwedeng maging profession yung course ko. So, ang pinakamalapit, pinakamabilis ng mga panahon na yon ay teacher. So, nag-teacher ako. So, nung naging teacher ako, yun, dire-diretso na siya. 22 years ago na.
Next question po, what is something that makes you stay to your profession for such a long period of time?
Again, medyo mahina yung boss. Medyo mahina yung ano. Ano ba ito?
Wait lang. Tanong ko po, what is something that makes you stay to your profession for such a long period of time? Paano po kayo nagtagal sa profession niyo po?
Hindi kasi, ang teacher kasi always, always sabihin natin, challenging every day, challenging siya. Tapos hindi siya nakakasawa kasi every day, every year, iba-iba yung estudyanteng hinahawakan mo. So, even pareho yung subject, pero every day na magtuturo ka, paiba-iba rin yun. So, kaya hindi siya nakakasawa. Tsaka iba yung feeling kapag you are in the company with the young people. Siyempre, kahit may edad na ako, tapos ang kaharap ko mga bata. So, yun, mas maganda sa pakiramdam. Then, challenging din kasi you need to update yourself sa mga new trends, lalo na ngayong pandemic. So, dapat maging ganon. Hindi siya nakakasawa. Hindi ibang katulad ng ibang trabaho na paulit-ulit. Diba? So, ito kasi paulit-ulit siya, pero everyday, iba-iba rin naman yung ginagawa. Kaya, magandang profession. Noble profession.
Next question ko po, how do you practice the code of ethics as you perform teaching commitment in school premises, home, local community po?
How do I practice the code of,
Apa.
Of course, oo. Siyempre, bilang teacher, so dapat talaga kumbaga, alam ko sa sarili ko na teacher ako. Kasi, ito lang kasi yung profession na pagkalabas mo ng school, teacher ka pa rin. So, you need to live the code of conduct of teachers. So, paano ka manamit, paano ka magsalita. Hindi ka tulad ng ibang profession, pagkalabas mo ng trabaho mo, ibang tao ka na. Diba? Yung teacher kasi hindi eh. Paglabas mo ng school, teacher ka pa rin. So, kailangan yung conduct mo, yung pakikitungo mo, yung ugali mo, is pan-teacher pa rin. So, ganun siya. So, every day. So, kahit saan ako papunta, so I need to practice the code of conduct. Hindi ako pwedeng magmura sa public. Hindi ako nagmumura sa school. So, ibig sabihin ba, paglabas ko ng school, pwede na ako magmura? So, hindi pa pwede yun. Kasi paglabas ko ng school, teacher pa rin ako. So, I need to practice the code of conduct. Everywhere, every day, 24/7. Kaya nga minsan, sige.
Next question ko po, when did you start teaching there at your school po? And how did you spend time teaching?
Dito?
Apa. Kailan po
Nag-start
kayo
ako ng teaching
nagsimula?
dito. 2016 ako nag-start dito sa public. Pero 22 years na akong teacher. Nag-start ako magturo year 2000. Pero nag-start ako dito sa public ay year 2016.
Ayun. Tapos po, how you deal with your co-teachers, immediate superiors, parents, and most importantly, students po?
Of course, with respect, with due respect. With kahit sino man yan, parents man yan, estudyante, co-teacher, of course, dapat deal with respect.
Tapos po, what so far was your most challenging dilemma related to the practice of your professional behavior as a teacher? How did you cope with that?
Actually, ang pinaka-challenging dilemma ngayon ay ngayong pandemic. Kasi ang daming estudyante na hindi nagsasubmit ng activities sa public o ganyan. Sa public, ang daming hindi nagsasubmit ng activities. So, challenging yun kasi paano mo sila marirequire na mag-submit? Hindi mo nga sila nakikita. Di ba? Pag pinatawag mo naman, hindi pumupunta, hindi mo makontak. Di ba? So, dahil hindi mo siya makontak, so ang hirap magano. So, yan ang pinaka-challenging. Unlike during the face-to-face, andyan lang sa harapan mo, di ba? Ngayon, ang hirap. So, yun yung challenging na yung makontak yung mga estudyante. Lalo na yung mga ayaw magpa-contact, ayaw magparamdam. So, yun.
Next question po, when you got your LET, how did you apply as a teacher? Which school did you apply first, and why did you apply to your school? Whether it is public first or private?
Actually, yung LPT ko, nakuha ko siya noong 2016. Nung nagturo kasi ako noong year 2000 sa private ako. Sa college kasi ako galing. Galing ako sa college. Sa college kasi hindi naman kailangan ng license. Ang kailangan sa college is master's degree. So nung nalipat ako ng public, so kailangan ng license. So kaya nagtake ako ng exam noong lumipat ako ng public.
Yan lang
So
po.
take one, at least nakapasa rin ka agad naman kahit papaano. Okay?
Okay pa. Maraming salamat. Yan. Bakit ko napili yung teacher?
Ayan. So, as I've said a while ago, I'm an AD political science major, but my education course started when I started with my master's degree because I'm a completer. I finished Masters of Arts in Education. So yun yung doon pumasok yung aking education. So why did I decide to be in the education? Well, because it's a very fulfilling job naman. You're able to touch as many lives as you can, especially the youth. Yan.
Next question po. What is something that makes you stay to your profession for such a long period of time po?
Yeah, it's been a long period of time because I started teaching way back 2 decades ago. This is actually more or less my 30 years of teaching already. What made me stay? Because of my advocacy. It's always been my advocacy to reach out to people who are in need of any services or of any skills that I would like to share. I'm a firm advocate kasi of parable of the talents. No? So when you have a talent, when you have a potential, you do not keep it on your own. You have to spread it. You have to impact others with your talents. You have to inspire and motivate. So that drives me to be in the profession until now.
Next question po. How do you practice the codes of ethics as you perform teaching commitment in school premises, home, local, community?
Again, what's the last part? How do I practice the code of ethics?
As you perform teaching commitment in school premises, home, local, community.
Well, for one, we have to have this level of or high level of credibility among the peers, among the colleagues. We have to do everything in candor and with all honesty and integrity, no? That has always been my guiding principle as a teacher. You really have to live up to the very core values of not only being a teacher, but being a good person, a good citizen, because you won't be able to touch lives if you yourself is an epitome of somebody who is not. So, yun.
Okay, next question po. How you deal with your co-teachers, immediate superiors, parents, and most importantly, students po?
Uh, of course, I believe in the principle of individual differences. Everybody has his fair share of opinion. Everybody is entitled to his or her own opinion. We have a different we came from different culture. So perhaps if there is one thing that is making me um, uh, be harmonious in terms of relationship with these people is for me to be able to display that high level of respect and high regard for their rights. We have to admonish that each and everyone has his fair share of individual rights that we have to respect, so that of course we know that respect begets respect. So it all boils down to that.
Next question po. How you deal with your ito pala. What so
Yeah.
far was your most challenging dilemma related to the practice of your professional behavior as a teacher? How did you cope with that?
Yeah, I think that the most challenging part of my journey as a teacher happened during the pandemic. Ano? Why? Because amidst the pandemic, we have several challenges that some of us were not able to anticipate. But I was able to hurdle them by being grounded and by staying afloat and knowing just being focused on knowing what the very objective of a teacher is, whether it's during the pandemic or out of the pandemic, and that is to serve the best interest of the learner, which is really the primary stakeholder of every teacher, whether in the public or the private sector.
Tapos po, last question na lang po. Paano po kayo, bukod po sa pagtuturo, ano pa po ba yung ginagawa niyo po?
I am actually doing consultancy work in our business, family business, which is we have a collection agency, and my husband maintains a law office here in Cavite. Since I am also at the same time a law graduate, I am doing paralegal work also in the said office after the official time of the teacher, because we cannot really do it simultaneously because we are on official time. Yeah, and we do recognize that it will be violation of the Anti-Graft and Practices Act if we do two things at the same time during DepEd official time. So that is what I'm doing right now. And of course, being a mom to 3 kids and a dutiful wife to a husband also.
Ito,
that's it.
pinaka-last question ko po. Paano po
Mhm.
kayo nasunod sa school regulations po sa schools?
Being a student of law, being a graduate of law, makes it for me imbibe more that certain level of discipline. Of course, if there are existing house rules, if there are existing school rules, all we have to do is to just obey it, not necessarily blindly, because we are in this day and age that we tend to be critical also when we follow rules. But when we follow rules, we don't do it in verbatim. We have to be a little bit more creative in reflecting on the rules. And perhaps we know that rules are there not only for us to follow, but as basis for future policies, so that we can also give feedback to our policymakers, like our school heads. So if we feel that an existing school policy has some kind of concerns which is not adaptive to the environment, to the local environment, the teachers per se or to the students, then I think it is also incumbent upon us teachers to react on it in a very diplomatic manner.
Okay pa. Yun
So
lang
that's
pa.
it.
Maraming salamat po.